Naturally, home is where I was born. But all the same, Germany has also become a home to me. Cologne Cathedral is a place I keep coming back to because I feel at ease here. That's also part of what home means to me. I'm small, only 5 foot tall, so I can't reach everything. I had to order a small ladder, and now I can get at everything. My father used to come to Germany a lot and bring German bread home with him. I was always fascinated by it, and I wanted to learn the baking trade.
Sambi Saito moved to Cologne 10 years ago. She visits Japan once a year. She wants to stay in touch with her family and friends, and she wants to stay up to date with the changes in her homeland.
Tokyo really is gigantic. Cologne is a village compared to Tokyo. What a big city.
After her arrival at the airport, Sambi has to cross town by train. That alone takes 2 hours.
Usually my mother picks me up from the train station and then we greet each other. And she always cries when she sees me. And then she always says, "You haven't changed, you haven't changed." My mother always thinks of other people and never thinks about herself. Sometimes she suffers. That's typical for a Japanese mother.
Sambi's father takes advantage of a break between lessons to greet his daughter. Both of Sambi's parents are music teachers.
My father is very funny and cheerful. And somehow he lives in his own little world and lets me do whatever I want.
The conversation quickly turns to the massive earthquake of March 11th, 2011, and the afterquakes.
Compared with 2011, the ground hasn't shaken much at all. In general, there are fewer earthquakes, but the atmosphere is still subdued. Everyone is still nervous. Look at this, a new device. It's an earthquake early warning system. If it beeps, there's going to be an earthquake soon. I get palpitations from pure fear. It beeps really loud and my heart beats like crazy. Even here, far away from Fukushima. It's still enough to make you nervous.
Of course, it was a huge shock for my parents. They had a lot of sympathy with the victims, and it made them very worried. So they looked at some houses outside Tokyo and really thought about moving away.
The following day, Sambi travels north with her father to Sendai. They're visiting an old friend of the family in the prefecture of Miyagi, which was badly affected by the earthquake. Mamoru Ito and his wife probably would not have survived the 11th of March, 2011 if they had not been away at the time. The tsunami that followed the earthquake destroyed the house in which the two musicians had lived for years. With the help of their insurance and government aid, they were able to buy a small house on the outskirts of Sendai. The tidal wave destroyed almost everything they owned, including 2 grand pianos. Money alone cannot make up for what they've lost.
I lost my home. From one day to another. I lost so much. Some things weren't so important. Others, I miss a lot. It shattered our lives. I grew old and lost everything.
The tsunami swept away everything in its path along a 10-kilometer stretch of coast. More than 16,000 people were killed. Hundreds of thousands of houses were destroyed or damaged. With a mixture of horror and awe, the Itos show us the video their neighbors shot on the day of the disaster. Then it's off to the disaster area.
My first emotion when I see this landscape is sadness. It used to be full of homes and schools and people, and now it's so deserted. There really is nothing left here. And when I see that, it first makes me sad and despondent.
A former train station not far from the Fukushima exclusion zone. Only the entrance and remnants of the platform remain.
After a purely natural disaster, you can rebuild everything and start anew and live here again. But when everything is contaminated with radioactivity, you can't really feel comfortable here.
Mr. Ito finds it inexplicable that his country's nuclear policy remains unchanged.
I am disgusted with our politicians, who can't even make a decision after a disaster like that. German politicians, for example, immediately listened to what their people were saying and decided to phase out nuclear power. Japan has no leaders who can make a correct decision like that. That makes me very angry.
When the Itos went to see their house a couple of days after the tsunami, it was still standing, but they couldn't salvage much. Today, there are people living in the village again.
When we went to the Fukushima exclusion zone, I felt really unsafe because there's an invisible danger there. And I felt a kind of inner anxiety. And I feel really sorry for the people who have to live here. I was scared while I was there.
Back to the capital, to a place where life goes on as if nothing had happened.
It's almost like a culture shock when I see how spoiled or wasteful so many Japanese people are. It scares me. How are they supposed to keep living like this? I think I'm quite different to those Japanese who try to buy their happiness with material things and technology. In Germany, they say the customer is king. In Japan, they say the customer is God. That's one reason why the service is so good in Japan.
The following day, we visit the Keimei Gakuen, a Christian school in West Tokyo. Sambi went to this school for 12 years, and her parents still teach there, so it's also home to her. It was here, she says, that her interest in foreign countries and foreign languages was awakened. Many famous Japanese people, including Yoko Ono, got their education here.
I think school children in Japan are very disciplined and very polite to each other and to their teachers and to other people. And they do what the teacher says.
The school principal has asked Sambi to give the children a talk about life in Germany. Her father is there too when she tells of her childhood dream of living in Germany. She tells them about her favorite building, Cologne Cathedral, and how, as a young girl, she got it into her head that she wanted to learn the baking trade in Germany. She tells them about her work at the flour mill in Neuss and her German colleagues. And then she gets out a loaf of bread she baked the evening before. Every loaf of bread, she says, is like every human being. They have their own characteristics and personality. Sambi finishes by encouraging the children to fulfill their dreams, just like she did in Germany. The following day.
In Japan, it's best to travel by train because it's always on time. Japan is a service-oriented country. Everybody is very polite, and not in a superficial way. They mean it from the bottom of their hearts. And that's something I miss in Germany.
Sambi embarks on a journey that will lead her to the cities of Kanazawa, Kyoto, and Kobe. She wants to see what's changed in her absence, and above all, she wants to meet old friends. In Kanazawa, a port city by the Sea of Japan, Sambi visits Satoko, a good friend whom she got to know in Germany. Satoko moved back to Japan a year ago, not entirely of her own free will. Her husband couldn't find work in Germany. His German was not good enough.
I've known her for 7 years. We were close friends, and she was like a piece of home to me. I was very sad when she moved back from Cologne to Japan.
One thing Satoko really misses since she moved back to Japan are Sundays, a day on which people can do whatever they feel like, a day when the shops are closed. There's nothing like that here, says Satoko. In Cologne, she did an apprenticeship as a carpenter and plied the trade for several years. It wasn't until she returned to Japan that she realized the different roles played by gender in the two countries. In Germany, her experience was that men and women are more or less equal, while in Japan, she says, she's not always taken seriously by her colleagues, because she's a woman. On a walk through the old samurai district of Kanazawa, Satoko tells her friend what a shock the 2011 earthquake gave her. Like thousands of other Japanese, she and her husband volunteered to help with the cleanup immediately after the disaster. Sambi wants to know if Satoko misses Germany.
Yes, I do miss Germany a bit. Somehow I have the feeling that I have two homelands. In Germany, I missed Japan. Now I miss Germany. I can't just fly over there at the drop of a hat, but at least I know there's a place I can go back to at any time.
Next stop is Kyoto, the ancient city of the emperors.
For me, Kyoto is the most beautiful city in Japan. It is so full of history, and there is a lovely atmosphere. I used to come here on holidays with my father a lot, so Kyoto is like a holiday resort for me.
There are more than 1,500 temple complexes in Kyoto. The Shinto Yasaka Shrine is one of the biggest in Japan. It's dedicated to the god of wealth and health. People come here to pray for a prosperous future and to protect themselves from evil spirits. First, they drop a few coins in the offertory box, and then awaken the god by ringing a bell. Sambi's friend Mika is waiting at the gates of the temple complex.
Mika has been my best friend in Japan since junior high school. We used to do everything together, and we are very close. We used to get together after school, too. When we meet again, it's as if the time in between had never happened.
Unfortunately, Mika is in a hurry. She's been staying at the hospital for several days. Her 8-month-old son has a severe bout of pneumonia, and she would have loved to show her old friend the baby, but the acute illness is not her only worry. Like many mothers in Japan, she's also worried about the children's future.
Kyoto is far away from the disaster area. We've been trying to save electricity since the accident. We try to leave the lights off as much as possible, both at home and at work. The children have also gotten wind of the dangers of radiation, and I pay close attention to where food comes from before I buy it.
The following day, Mika and Sambi have been invited to a wedding by some friends of Mika. The venue of the wedding is the Ujigami Shrine, Japan's oldest surviving shrine. The bride's white kimono symbolizes her willingness to accept the way of life in her new home. Times have changed in Japan, too. The couple already had a child before they got married. The ceremony is somewhat alien to Sambi. She believes that most Japanese people's faith is rather superficial.
Of course, it was very interesting. There were many rituals, but they probably don't even know themselves why they're doing it.
The last stop before we return to Tokyo is Kobe, a city of 1.5 million. Tucked away among the skyscrapers is a church. There's a typhoon brewing as Sambi makes her way to the small Christian community in this port city.
My mother always says faith is more important than health. My parents are Christians. That's as normal to me as brushing my teeth. Most Japanese don't believe in anything anymore.
Sambi's Christian faith makes her one of a tiny minority of less than 1% in Japan. Until just a few years ago, the preacher here in Kobe was her parish priest in Cologne. Ken Noguri had his own difficulties after his return to Japan. Above all, he missed the wide-open spaces and the fact that he had more time to himself in Germany. The priest considers what happened at Fukushima to be sinful. He also blames himself for not pointing out the dangers sooner.
In Germany, people take to the streets to defend their interests, and they say quite clearly what they think. In Japan, there is a demonstration every Friday, but ever fewer people are taking part. We just don't believe that we can influence our own society. We Japanese must finally start believing that we can make a difference. We must change our behavior in this regard. We can learn a lot from Germany.
By the time Mass is over, the wind has picked up considerably. Over the next few hours, Japan experiences its 17th and strongest typhoon this year. There is a museum in Kobe to one of the biggest natural disasters of all. In 1995, more than 4,500 people were killed in a massive earthquake here. Large swathes of the inner city were destroyed.
Japan is a land of earthquakes, and big earthquakes strike time and again. Every 30 years, they say. And when I see photos like these of Kobe, I think, my God, there was such destruction back then, too. But Kobe is smaller than Tokyo, and both my brothers work in the center of Tokyo, and I do worry about them.
Indeed, geologists reckon that the great earthquake of 2011 has increased the likelihood of Tokyo being struck by a major tremor. Given the high population density, 36 million people live in Tokyo and its environs, even a small earthquake could put all the other disasters humankind has experienced in the shade. It's the evening before Sambi's flight back to Germany. One last time, Sambi makes her way to the center of Tokyo, to the government quarters. She wants to take part in the demonstration against nuclear energy.
I hope Fukushima will mark a turning point for Japan. It really is time we got active. And this is an opportunity to change the country, to speak out and express our own opinion. Japan is a democracy, but what happened here was anything but democratic. The government obviously lied to us, and still nobody was convicted. This is a chance to express our views and create a real democracy. I want this country to change.